G'day and welcome to another series of videos. This one is on Graveyard Keeper. The way that the developers, Lazy Bear Games, and the publishers Tiny Build explain this one is Graveyard Keeper is the most inaccurate medieval cemetery management sim of all time. Build, manage your own graveyard, expand into other ventures while finding shortcuts to cut costs. After all, this game is about the spirit of capitalism and doing whatever it takes to make your business thrive. It's also a love story. Now, I've really enjoyed Graveyard Keeper. I've done a few streams on Twitch and a few other series, but we're going to create a series on this. There will be a little bit of Let's Play, and then there will be other videos that will be focused on certain management, such as how to make money, alchemy, maybe the mortuary as well, plus certain clues and quests as well. So let's start off with the beginning on sort of a Let's Play and how to sort of start and the best ways to sort of start for your first couple of hours. And if you like the video, don't forget to hit the likes and don't hesitate to hit the subscribe if you'd like to see more of Graveyard Keeper and any other games that I bring out. But let's get straight into it. So this is... right at the beginning of the game, and what we're going to jump in with this one is just how to start off and the best ways to sort of start off. Now, for the first couple of minutes, you do have a little bit of a tutorial by following the yellow arrow, but then after that, you just have a free ability to sort of roam the expansive world that's within Graveyard Keeper. So, without any ado, let's get straight into it. We'll follow the arrow and see Jerry. Okay, so once you've actually found Jerry, and obviously the yellow arrow is going to be there, you can certainly read the storyline that comes in. But Jerry's going to sort of just send you on the first part of your tutorial to jump in. So once you've heard the bells, and if you've been playing the game a little bit now, you know what the bells mean, and sometimes it's good and sometimes the donkey is frustrating. So let's head straight down and get into the mortuary and talk to the donkey. Alright, so as you know, it's the donkey that drops off your corpses, and to start off with, the donkey is just going to drop those corpses off, and he's not happy that he's only getting paid 5 carats a day. The donkey also drops off a few other things, but we won't do a spoiler. So let's pick up that body, which is basically what Jerry's telling you to do. And jump into the morgue. So we're just going to fly through this fairly quickly, and it's fairly self-explanatory when you're playing the game. So pick it up, let's drop it into the morgue. A couple of things we can fix, but at this stage you're quite restricted to what you actually do. Okay, so we'll pass this. Okay, so you've opened it up, they come through. Now, at this stage, we'll put the autopsy on the table. You know you can press the tab, which will open up your inventory. You've also got your technologies, and the only bit that's open at the moment at this stage in the game is physically your anatomy and alchemy. Which has allowed you to create the flash. These will come available as we go through. The way that you open these up is through the point system. This isn't explained in the tutorial, but you'll see it. So every job you do would have either a red, a green, or a blue points system, depending what you're doing. Most of your labor tasks come out with a red point system. Most of your nature tasks come out with a green, and more of your graveyard tasks being things like studying science, doing alchemy, studying your tombstones, will give you a blue point system. The blue point system can be a little bit difficult and frustrating, but we will do that in later videos on how you can maximize your blue points. Let's continue with the tutorial. He's now asking you just simply to cut some flesh through the autopsy. You've got the body, and we will when we do a video purely on the mortuary side or the autopsy side, we'll talk about the skulls and how you can sort of maximise the skulls. But we'll take the flesh. I think there's a 100% success rate on this one, and obviously by taking flesh from a body, we've now been able to create cheeseburgers or create burgers, sandwiches, and baked meat. That's disgusting. All right, let's jump into it. Now let's bury that corpse. So let's follow the arrow. Okay, so let's create a build site. Doesn't matter where you throw the build site to start off with. At this stage in the game, you can only use the right hand side. The left hand side will open up later on in the game. Simply go to your table, create your graveside. As soon as you create the graveside, it will give you a -2. We'll talk about the ratings a little bit later on. Pick up your body, throw it inside. I'm a numpty. Now let's try that. And then F if you're using PC to close it up. This will give you a burial certificate. He's on his beer and his alcohol, but more importantly, the burial certificates will give you your first phase of some sort of currency. Alright, he can wait for his beer. Not sure how he's going to drink his beer. Here we go, the bishop. Okay, so it's part of the tutorial. Talk to the bishop. Or, I think he is, or the priest. No, he's not the priest, he's the bishop. Graveyard a mess. You already know the graveyard is a mess, and we're just going to flip through. And he's not going to promote us to cleric until we fix it. So, obviously the first job we have, because we are the graveyard keeper, but as you'll quickly find, not only are you a graveyard keeper, you're a farmer, you're a blacksmith, you're a carpenter, you're a fisherman. Is there anything else I'm missing? You are everything. So, we've learned how to create wooden markers. Okay, so as soon as so your first quest that you'll get in is to get your graveyard to level 5. So we'll just fly through this, and he comes back every day noting the what we would call Sunday. Alright. Once you've spoken to the bishop, he's talked about the burial certificates and the burial certificates to the local tavern. So, the main thing that I would certainly suggest in the early game is go and talk to each of your NPCs and make sure you fulfill all the questions. So, basically, by going through, it will either open up opportunities to talk to other NPCs, yeah, obviously it will either open up opportunities to talk to other NPCs or open up other quests. So about the certificate, yep, tell me more. It said the payment for laying the rest, and the town will go through. So I think we've asked all the questions we can about the town. Where's the village? The village is to the left, no more questions, and that's it. Okay, so 2 ways to actually do it. You can repair the old ones by doing repair kits, or you can build new ones. Also allows us to now gather wood and to gather rocks. So now we've sort of started to get into the game, and the base tutorial will finish a little bit soon. So, as you can see now, not only have you got anatomy and alchemy, you've also opened up building. Building's allowed a bit of the woodwork to come in, and through burying the body, I think, or digging the hole, we were able to get 1 green point as well. Not enough to unlock too many things, but we'll also show a recommendation on what I would suggest that you actually unlock. Your quality of graveyard is -29, so you do have a bit of work to clean up. You now have the sundial, so to speak, and as you can see, time is passing. So I'm just going to sort of pause it while we go through. Sunday being the day that the bishop then comes to the church, or the church day, and that will be more effects when the church is open and you're actually getting an income. The next lot of days will come clearer as we start to see more NPCs. So let's head over to the box. Inside the box, we've got the wooden repair kit, we've got a stone repair kit, and we have some basic tools. Close that one. Open up our character. We can go with 9. Now, one thing to note as well is when you've got the tools, you'll see the tools with a little icon in the top right hand corner. By clicking on the icon, you'll find even though it's in your inventory, it's not equipped. So make sure you click it to make sure you've got an effectiveness, or you won't be able to cut trees, mine, dig holes, or build things, so forth. You find you already come up with a few boxes, but the other boxes you need to make more trunks later on into the game. So you're starting off with -29, you need to get to +5 before you finish that quest. With your quest itself, you've got the character, you can either press N, or you can go to the top tab and just remind you of the quest that you have. So in this case here for the bishop, he will come on Sundays and you need to reach 5 at the graveyard to complete the first of many quests that you'll get. The other one you've got is a map. So you've got a nice little map here with your fog of war, so to speak, and that will open up as you walk along. You've got your home, your morgue, and your graveyard. So let's follow the yellow arrow and make our way to the local village. We'll jump back as soon as we arrive at the village. Hello and welcome back. Okay, so all we've done is walked due east from where our old graveyard, followed the road. You can't get lost. You go past a wheat farm and a gentleman down here that will sell you seeds a little bit later on, and now the entire area of the village is opened up to you. So before we go into the tavern or the Dead Horse, let's have a look at what we've got here. So first of all, we've got the tavern. We've got a gentleman or a merchant that is only available on the merchant day, which is represented by this character on the screen here. I'm just going to throw the... it doesn't allow... we've got a blacksmith. We have a beekeeper. That one may be milk, sorry, I apologise. We've got someone who's selling milk, sorry. Then we've got the beekeeper. An individual that's going to sell a wood and other wood products. A stonemason, just so happen to be brothers. A quest up here, but another, not a carpenter, but he'll actually have a quest for you up here. I'm not sure whether he sells you things, but we can have a look at that. And the lady over here that's going to sell you some eggs and a nice little fishing spot. So that's the village and the things around the village themselves. But we'll have a look at that after we go to the tavern. The tavern being the Dead Horse, and probably one of the last things we have as part of our tutorial quest line. So let's talk to the tavern keeper. Welcome to the Dead Horse. My name is Horodrick. Okay, so with this gentleman, he does like to chat. So we'll fly through this. Alright, so we got heaps that we can actually ask him to come up there. So let's talk about the burial certificate to start off with. And as he said, is the head of the village. He will trade the burial certificates for money. So that's the first thing you do to finish that part of the tutorial. But he is short on money. Once you open the church, he will get more pilgrims that will spend money within his tavern, and therefore he'll have money, which means that you can't just quickly sell him stuff to actually get money. There are other people that you can sell plenty to, but certainly not Holdrick. How do I get home? Alright, so we're talking around the fact about the revolution. Okay, listening to the astrologer, so you learn that there's another... and we're finished. Alright, how do I get a town pass? Rather complicated, not a single villager has one. Alright, the Inquisitor can grant a town pass, or you can just purchase citizenship. Alright. And we'll talk about the citizenship. The citizenship will come once you open up the church and you start to get favour with the church itself. Okay, I'd like to trade in some fresh meat. However, the roadblock here is the fact that the meat has to have the royal meat stamp. So we need to find a stamp. Two ways of getting the stamp. One way is to, once again, buy it through the church. The second way is to get it through unauthorised means, and there's a gentleman called Snake, which we'll come across with a little bit later, who can sell you a dodgy stamp, but the stamp will still allow you to sell meat. Yeah, as you said, Snake, and he can give you a royal stamp. Miss Charm can help me with Snake, so there we go. And Miss Charm will come on another day of the week. So trade, we can take our trade. Right, he's not going to trade yet. He wants you to talk through, well, he is going to trade. So a couple of things. First of all, is you can very quickly just pass your burial certificate, get a silver for that. You can buy things, but I would recommend there's no need to buy food and that at this stage of the game. Currency in the early game is very tough, so just be wise where you spend your money. I would say that it's not overly necessary. So probably the easiest quest, and it's not now that you're sort of on your own, is you won't have the yellow arrow, is now going to see some of the NPCs to open up. So let's talk to the lady here. Is not going to tell you anything except the fact that you have to talk to her husband. But she will see you some recipes, which will come in handy a little bit later on once you've got some currency. And to be honest, to get one or two, to spend money on one or two silver on these currencies, you're talking about maybe 15 hours into the game before I would personally spend money on things like recipes. The thing with this game, it is set on the times themselves, so you'll find that most of your NPCs are only available during daylight hours. So during the evening, there's really not much else to do in early game than is to sleep. So this is where the blacksmith hangs out, and he's still here. He should not be here. I think he's just here because we've got a quest. But let's talk to the blacksmith. Okay, so give him the letter. He'll tell me that you got a letter from a Horodic. He'll be a little bit frustrated because he was too lazy to walk himself. Okay, so he's having problems with slimes behind the house, so this will also just show you how to use the... Plus you get a bit of a sword. Talking with him, you'll also get a waystone, which will allow you to repair not only your early weapons, but your late weapons in game. So grab the waystone, it's a freebie. And he's given you an energy potion. Okay, so defeat the slimes, and he's going to give you some items. We've got some trade, so we also have the ability to trade with him. This is one individual I do buy some stuff from in the early game. I do have a tendency to maybe buy some nails or some simple iron parts just to sort of get through, but just be very cautious on how much money you spend on those items as well. So let's have a look at the waystone. Click it, click the broken weapon or the broken item, simply hit craft, F, and the F is going to chew through on your energy. So the two ways to do energy, obviously replenish your energy, is either through food, and different types of food, as you get more recipes, are going to be better, or the second one, which he's actually giving you, is a free potion. So you can drag and drop that potion down here and use your energy potion to replenish your energy to keep you going. Now, you do not need to sleep at night. You can actually do things at night, but approximately every 3 nights, it will force you to have a sleep. By sleeping at night, you replenish your energy quicker than if you sleep during the day. So try and get some night cycles. There are some things later on in the game, such as catching moths, and if you want to do bats or slimes, they only appear at night. So it does make sense that during some of the nights, you will be crafting and not sleeping 100% of the time. So let's go back here and find out these slimes. The fighting mechanics are quite basic. But each of the enemy has a movement. So once you understand the movements between the slimes, the bats, and the other creatures, then you can easily move in and out to tackle them. So we've got our 2 slimes. Let's go see our blacksmith, who also isn't sleeping tonight. You've defeated the slimes. Get yourself some simple iron parts, and you've increased your relationship. And we've got some more recipes. So now that you've got 10 relationship, there are certain questions that are now unlocked, and this is the why you need to improve your relationships with it. Now, you cannot improve your relationships simply by trading and bartering. You only increase your relationship with the characters through doing quest lines. So you will need to do quests. So you can find the metal ore in the swamp soil. There's a huge swamp to the west across the river. But as they said, pardon me, the bridge has collapsed. So we open up the map themselves. We just have to sort of scroll. What he's talking about is you've got this area here. You've got your home here, and to the left that isn't open up, there's the start of a bridge, and on the left of the bridge, there's a swamp, and that's where you can get some iron ore. We will show you other areas to get iron ore. There is some iron ore behind your house, which will be sufficient during the early game period. We're not going to head home just yet. We're going to keep now exploring the rest of the town area here. And we will work through the next day. Next gentleman we have is actually coming in, which is where Miss Chain is. So your bishop's now heading home. If we head down this way, we will see, as much as he can just walk down there and Miss Chain is walking up, we cannot get past here. Need a town pass. So we won't talk to Miss Chain yet. We're just going to do a little bit of exploring until it's daylight, and then we'll come back for Miss Chain. Moving along, we got a couple of things to look at. The first one is chickens, fresh eggs. So once you've created this, once you've opened this basket, and a lot of people miss this basket, it will give you a couple of quests to make omelettes and fried eggs. More importantly, it allows you to buy eggs. So I would probably suggest maybe just with the money you've got is just buy 2 eggs, and that will come in play a little bit later on. Move up here. We've got a fishing spot, but if we keep moving up and to the right, we do have a beach with another fishing spot down a little bit. We have some sand, which will be effective a little bit later on. We've got a path that comes up this way, and this is where we want to open up. So we can talk to this NPC. Okay. So he has the ability to give you more recipes, but he wants fish. So bring 4 silver star fish, and we will do that quest. So what we're doing is just basically opening up our map so we can see where certain things are. Coming up here, we've got the mountain fort, but no entry is permitted, so we can't get in there at the moment. heading around just so you can sort of see this area, a little bit of the actual fort. We've got another forest here with a do not cut sign, and then we've got this gentleman here being another woodcutter. All right, don't ever think about chopping the trees down here. I'm not just exploring the area. I paid a lot for the village to chop the trees around here. I've got to tell you, it's hard work. So, if he brings you a better axe, you will get a recipe for pasta. Now, this particular recipe I do like. So we need to bring him an iron axe. Now, we're not going to be bringing him an iron axe for quite a while. We're literally just opening up so we can talk to these individuals. Now, the other individuals we want to talk to is this one here. Hi, it's Tress. So we'll talk to Tress, who is basically a carpenter. Now, this guy here will sell you some wood if you need it. Some of these things here you do not need. You can make them all yourself. However, there is an opportunity to sell him things in order to get, not planks, but to get the beams. And beams are handy for some of the mid-game items that you'll make. This gentleman here is actually going to just sell you peat moss, which you would use for farming. Now, in this case here, I generally don't ever buy anything from this gentleman. This lady here doesn't sell you beef, but will sell you milk and dairy products. So in this case here, we're going to buy 2 jugs of milk, and that's, actually we're just going to buy a bucket of milk. And that will go with the eggs. So we just got the eggs and milk, and I'll just keep those for a little bit later on. Now we just follow this path, keeping an eye on the time, and we're still looking at the sun. In the event that you've dawdled a little bit to get here, I would recommend that you go see Miss Chain, just to start the quest line for Miss Chain. Talk to Corey, who is the brother of Tess. Corey collects stones, Tess collects wood. In this case, Corey is going to sell you all the stone parts. Maybe a little bit later on you want some marble items. So Corey maybe, so at this stage I haven't seen Corey give any quest lines, but it's definitely worth sort of talking to him. So just make your way down. You've got a beekeeper down here, and you've got a couple of trees that you can jump in and get bees. So if you just right click on the trees that have the beehives, this will allow you to drop some honey. You will also find that you lose a little bit of health, and that's because you've been stung by bees. Later on you can correct that, so you become immune to the bees, but at this stage a little bit of health like this is no problems at all. Head back in to the Dead Horse. Now that you've done the, look, we've got 2 things. We've got Miss Chain singing Waddy Boo Bee Bar Boo Bop, a little bit of Betty Boo, and we can talk to Miss Chain. Alright, so Miss Charm, we have to demonstrate that you're worth talking to. So unfortunately with this one can be a little bit complicated because it doesn't physically tell you, but what you need is you need 5 faith. Now at this stage you haven't collected faith. The faith is collected from the church when you open up the church. Not only are you talking to Miss Charm, but Miss Charm will help you get to Snake. You've also got the poet that wants to charm Miss Charm. So you get 2 quests here once you come into the tavern, and both of these individuals will only talk to you on this day. So this gentleman needs paper and ink, and you've got 2 ways. You can make paper and ink, but that's probably going to be about 15 hours into the game. It also allows you, as you said, you've just opened up another perk. Or you can buy ink and you can buy paper from the astrologist. And to find the astrologist, once again, click on the question and he will now explain to you where the astrologist is and the day the astrologist is available. Okay, so ask about the old astrologist. All right, so flip through here. Yep, it's flat as a pan. Ask about the light horse. All right, the lighthouse is on the cliff. Okay, and leave. All right, so if we open up the map now, we've done the beach, which we've walked to, and it hasn't opened up the lighthouse, but the lighthouse is in this corner. The lighthouse itself, as they said, is only available here on the moon day. So we've got a couple of days before we need to see the astrologist. We can head back to Hodrick. The other people here will not talk to you at this stage. Alright, so we've done that. Here, have a beer, it's on the house. So you don't need to buy the beer for Jerry. You get given a free beer by completing this quest line. Now you can go back and see Jerry. The other thing to keep in mind is this one here, which is your teleport stone. So probably one of the first things I would recommend in buying is saving up for your teleport stone after, like I said, the eggs and the milk are not necessary. I just use them to bake some certain cakes a little bit late, early game. But the teleport stone, as soon as you get your next lot and you get 2 silver, I'd strongly recommend getting yourself a teleport stone because it will greatly reduce the amount of walking that you do. The teleport stone will teleport you to 4 locations, I think, at this stage. The first one is the dead horse, and the rest will be clear, or a little bit clearer later on. Next things we got, so coming up this way, and it is daylight, so use the opportunity because these people will duck away as soon as it gets dark. The mill's broken, so just fly through these because we want to sort of save a little bit on time. He will sell you flour. Flour is obviously, we can make bread, and the bread is an easy thing for 2 things, is you can sell it for a little bit of currency if you're really that way inclined, or easier, you can you obviously use it to get yourself a little bit of energy. The next one we have here is the farmer who will complain. So tell you about farming. It tells you about the fertilizing in the soil, and we'll talk maybe a little bit basically on farming, but I will do a separate video on farming that will sort of just be focused on farming and how to get good vegetables. So it gives you a couple of more dishes, being obviously carrot cutlets, sauerkraut, and beet slices. More importantly, when you trade with them, and this is someone that I'll definitely spend time with, he will give you opportunities for food. So the first one that I would recommend is your carrot seeds. In this case here, you need to work in increments of 4. So I do have enough money to buy 8, which will allow me to grow 2 patches of carrots. So we're just going to do that. And that is where we've spent our first lot of money. So one thing we didn't do, we will now head back home following west. We have the Inquisitor up the top, but that will only come out on this day when the Inquisitor is available, and Jerry will definitely tell you when the Inquisitor is available. Whoop, here's Jerry. Alright, so we'll flip through that. You're stealing my thoughts. Remember the seller. He's given you some more quests now, so being able to eat mushrooms, berries, and gather apples. He's now taught you how to create dough, pastry dough, and bread. And the bread, as we said, is from the wheat. The other one that I'd do without the carrots, if we're not doing carrots, I would recommend, if you don't want, I mean, you can do the carrots. The carrots will be helpful for something else a little bit later on without being a spoiler. I would also recommend potentially doing wheat, because then you could do bread, and then the bread will give you dough. Okay, so you've got a couple more questions. Ask about the small road. So we can fly through that one. And that's it. He's not going to give you any more until you give him the beer. Now the thing is you have his beer now. So we can use this opportunity just to collect a few mushrooms, a few berries, and some mushrooms. Okay, whilst you're here, have a look at this. And we need to go and visit Horadric again. So we can't claim it yet, but what that allows you to do is now to go, it's created another quest line for you to go see Hodric. head back in. We are going to sleep after this one. Head back in. And give Jerry his beer. We're now plus 20 with Jerry, which will allow us to ask some more questions. And he just tells you to stop walking around telling people that we're from a different time. So we'll have some questions. How do I get home? Easy. I'm sure you use the portal on Witch Hill. Okay. Now we can't get to Witch Hill yet. Witch Hill is not available. Maybe have a look at some books in the library. The church has a library and it's in the cellar. The astrologer sort of knows. Ask about the astrologer. Yep, smart. We've already talked about the astrologer, and the astrologer is available. How do I get to the library? You can get to the library via the church and the wine cellar. Right, so we'll fly through these ones. Okay, so as you can see here now, we can move here. We've got, it's blocked here, and what you need is wedges, which are easy, simple iron parts, which are easy, and the beams are a little bit tougher. So you can either get the beams by manufacturing them later on once you've increased your technology level. As you can see here, beams are down here with a circular sword, 200 red points, plus obviously the red points declares up. At the moment we've got 1 red point, so as you can see it will take a while to get beams yourself, or you can sell stuff to the carpenter in order to get to tier 2 to allow you to buy beams. This will allow you to get to the bottom of the church, but not so yet. The other way to get to the church, obviously besides going through the front door, is down through the wine cellar at the bottom of your house. So we click down here. Okay, that is Snake. So not only do we have Snake, we can see at the bottom of your church, we also have some areas here, and it's an important part of the game that's going to come up a little bit later on. So Snake is trying to get in through this gate. He keeps walking backwards and forwards. You will only find Snake in the evening or during Cultist Day, which is this area here. To unblock this one, it's probably one of the easiest to unblock. You can see it's a wooden plank, which is fairly easy to make in the early game, plus your wedges and more simple iron parts. To get your simple iron parts and that, or to get some things to start off with, crack the wood. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this opportunity to sleep during night time, refresh ourselves, and we'll be back in the morning. Now you can wake up any time during the night, or you can wait until you're fully refreshed and then it will wake you up automatically. So as soon as you wake up on day 1, you get another part of the tutorial, which is how to dispose of bodies. So flip through this. He's just a ghost with bipolar or something that keeps on changes between happy and sad. Alright, so we're just going to move through him quite quickly. It gives you a license. The license is to exhume a body. You can buy these at a later date, and we're going to make our way over to the graveyard now. It is in the morning. And it's also Merchant Day, so we'll keep an eye on that. As we go visit the merchant. In the first part of the game, I would suggest moving to see all the physical NPCs on their given days, and not worry about too much on the fixing and so forth. So what we want to do is we want to have a look at the bodies. So if we have a look at the bodies here, we've got 3 red, 1 white. So this is actually quite a bad body in this grave. We look at this one. This one actually has 5 white, and the 5 white will give you positives. For the graveyard, 1 red, and we're minus 29. Once again, 5 white and a red, 3 white and 2 red. So we're going to exhume this one, which is probably, what do we got on this one here? 3 white, 3 red, so that's a 0. This one is a negative, it's basically -2 or -3. So let's exhume this one. So in order to exhume, we need to remove the tombstone and anything else. Then we can go to the grave, exhume. We need the exhume mission, which he's giving you 1. You'll need to buy the rest. Then we can dig the body up, which is then giving us to -2, but it's -2 just because it's a hole. And what he's asking you to do is to throw the body into the river. Okay, simple as that. The body's in the river. Oi, now Jerry comes over and says, what the hell are you doing? You tell him the ghost tells you to get rid of it. And he says, do you just do it? All right, so where's the river lead? The river leads to the town. How can I burn a body? You look at one of those smarter guys, and they actually are. Thanks. You need fire and wood. All right. So we now have 2 ways to dispose of bodies. What you want is you want to have good bodies inside your graveyard with plenty of white skulls, and that will give you positive points to give you a positive graveyard. A positive graveyard means that on church day, when you give a sermon, the more positive your graveyard is, the more money you'll get through donations. The better the inside your church, the more faith you get. If your body is no good and you want to dispose, there's 2 ways. The first way is you can throw it into the river. I don't think there's any repercussion from it, but you don't get anything from your body. The second way is you can, through here, crematorium, you can create spots to burn your body, and this will give you ash and salt and a burial certificate. So it will actually give you, once again, you'll still get money, and you won't place that body inside your graveyard and therefore get negative points. Now what I'm doing is I'm just moving to the east now so I can quickly see the merchant before the day is over. If you miss it, it just means you have to wait a whole week before you can see the merchant again and start the quest line for the merchant. We are going to miss this one, unfortunately, because what we need to do is we need to go to the dead horse very quickly, and we're going to try and get this. The reason for this is Hodrick will tell you about the garden. So we're going through this, which will give you the ability to use the garden, but we need to talk to the merchant. Alright, we don't have that. Let's pick up. Alright, to destroy, and we should just do this. We're actually going to destroy one of these things that we don't need, and we're just going to quickly destroy, ouch, honey. So we can pick up that, which will allow you to use it, but we need to speak to the merchant, and the merchant is right here, that we need to speak to before night time. So the villager will do 2 things, besides he's got hiccups. Alright, so we'll talk to the merchant. First of all, we can scare him. Boo. It doesn't do anything, but he does stop hiccuping for a while. Next thing is you can talk to him about the garden. That Hodrick has already given you permission, but you need to, this is the owner, and as he sort of said, so the garden, due to inflation and good soil, is obviously quite valuable, so he tries to sell it to you for 10 gold. Obviously you don't have the money, so you talk about 5 gold. Well, you don't have that money either, so so we do some sort of barter. So he will rent you the farm until you can get a better deal. So what he will do is he will ask for, 12 carrots, 12 cabbages and 12 beets. We've already seen the gentleman who sells the that sells you seeds, so we do need to buy beet seeds and cabbage seeds in order to give him as part of the trade. The other one is he's after hiccup grass, and the hiccup grass is we can find that in the swamp over to the west once we fix the bridge. So 12 carrots, ask about the seeds. Obviously he'll tell you that you can buy them from the local farm. But more importantly, by asking this question, he will give you a loan. completely up to yourself, but I would recommend taking it because it will give you 5 silver. No, there is no time phase, but you cannot complete the quest line until you've now returned carrots, cabbage, beets, and repaid the loan. So you just, but the extra 5 silver to start off with is very helpful. Another way is you just go chop some wood and sell some wood to one of the places and you'll get money. But we are good. Now trading, he doesn't trade much for you, but he will trade you, let's say, grape seeds, which grape seeds are obviously very helpful later on, but he has now given you permission to use the garden fully. Take the 5 silver, go see your friend Hoderick. Buy yourself a teleport stone. It's not going to work because my... Alright. We're going to get rid of one of these pieces of wood. Alright, handy tip is make sure you go to one of your trunks and get rid of some of the trunks so you don't waste some of the commodities that I'm wasting now, like the honey and the wood, easily replaced. Certainly the wood is, but it'd be nicer if we didn't have to get rid of it. So, as much as I'd love to buy some seeds, probably the next easiest thing to do is then just right click on the teleport stone, use, and quickly go home. Here we are home. So let's drop it. We've got a heap of trunks. We've got one next to the kitchen, which will allow you to do cooking. So I suggest that you put milk, mushrooms, and anything you cook with in here. Not meat. This one here is good for items that you're not really using straight up, so things like stories, meat that you're not going to use, potentially carrot seeds we'll use a little bit later on. These we'll hold on to and we'll get rid of. Outside, I personally use this chest here to put things like wood and items. So you'll find that as you're using this area here, which is where you will make all your items, it's basically your construction site, it will draw from the chests in the local area. And the last one is now is your farm. So we can claim the property and it will allow us to build garden beds. Now, so the garden beds do not cost anything to make. You just have to, the only thing they'll cost is energy and time. So you can make yourself a few garden beds. You then do have to spend energy to unlock them. Now the next day is the cultist day, and because you haven't unlocked the gap between your cellar and the cultist, you can't really do much on this day. So the next day here is a good day to actually spend starting to fix up your graveyard. You want to try and get +5 by the time you get to Sunday. I think it's a very tough doing. I'm not saying it's impossible, but generally it's taken me 2 cycles to get that. So what we're doing now is we're actually just planting. Press E, press that, find out where your seeds are and plant yourself some seeds. We'll use these carrots to create some food a little bit later on. The next lot of food we want to do, we're going to get ourselves some sleep. Should be a very short sleep just to recharge our batteries. Oh, he's back. So we've done that, we've done the body. Okay, and what he does is he just explains you the red skulls and the white skulls and the decorations, which will actually improve your graveyard. Now we've already talked about that, and that is a couple important things, and this is a great screen to be playing. So the red skulls are going to give you a negative effect, negative points. The white skulls are going to give you positive points. The green skulls are decomposing bodies. So when you hear the bell ring, it will denote that a body's been dropped off into your morgue. The longer you wait, the body will decompose. Later on, you have the ability for the body to be dropped directly inside your morgue, which means it will decompose slower. Then you've got your tombstones and your borders, which can actually sit on top of your graveyard to give a positive effect. Keeping the note, so you can only get positive points, which are denoted by the amount of skulls or positive skulls that you've actually got in there. So we'll show that when we work more in the mortuary on how we try and get the maximum amount of white skulls, then matching the white skulls with the right grave type in order to not waste points. So for instance, if you've got 2 skulls, there's no sense in putting a tombstone that has a positive 5, because you're only ever going to get a maximum of +2 towards the grave. Now I understand that can be a little bit confusing, but we will do a separate tutorial basically, or just on mortuary and graves themselves. Okay, that is about it for this one. I want to try and keep them around 20 minutes, and I know this one's going to go a little bit longer, but thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed a very how to start or starting off, just a basic guide for Graveyard Keeper. I love this game. I really enjoy it. It's got hours and hours of playability to go through. I will continue with more on this series, and I will do separate videos on certain elements such as fishing, cooking, mortuary, graveyard duties, maybe book writing, exploring NPCs, quest lines and that as well. If there's anything you'd particularly like to see, don't hesitate to sort of ask the questions below. Don't hesitate to pop into my live streams that I do every evening, or into jumping into my Discord channel. We've got dozens of people playing Graveyard Keeper currently at the moment, so there's always people there that will help you. So thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the likes if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe if you'd like to see more of this or other videos that I'm doing as well. Thank you, happy gaming, and have fun. Bye.